Call it
Yeah.
The practice company.
Yep, exactly. So,
All right, my friend.
alrighty. So next we've got Brett Rockwell on. I've kind of known Brett for a long time. we our wives were actually BFFs in high school, but that is not how we kind of connected. Brett reached out to me when Facebook was becoming a thing, and he's like, wow, 150 common connections. How come we're not doing business together? And I'm like, I don't know, why not? So kind of started following him, and it was cool watching you on social media because you were so good at it, and it really seemed like that's how you got an edge over a lot of other companies without spending a lot of dollar, especially during that time. I mean,
Right.
In the earlier 2000s, it was just a wreck. 2010, I think that was probably about when we connected on Facebook, and man, it was rough out there then, but it was cool watching you like grow your company through social media. So, you've been, I guess, an inspiration in that sense, as far as being able to grow your media online. And look, I sent him referrals and he just reached out. So, if you're looking for business, definitely look in your social media sphere.
Yeah, 100%. I would say, like, if you're lame, you're going to be lame on social media, right? It's just an extension of you as a person. And so if you don't think you're lame, then just post your crap. And I think that's people are afraid to put themselves out there. And we all follow those people on social that are like, oh my God, you're lame, you're dumb, you're ugly. Why are you posting another selfie? You should be on here. Do it. If you suck, you're going to suck. You're going to fail. If you're cool, people are going to like you. But I mean, back in the day, Tom Ferry would say the average person knew 2.5 realtors. And because of social media, that number has increased to, I believe, 6 now. So instead of being in competition with 2.5 people, now you're in competition with 6. It's free for the most part. It can be fun. You can make connections, and you can, run into other people and actually have like relationships out of it. I mean, I've made friends through social within a work sphere. So, and I mean, I spent money on Yelp, I spent money on Google, I spent money on Bing, I spent money on all the stuff. And at the end of the day, you're going to do business with people that you like, people that you respect and appreciate. And that's what this is. Just gives you an ability to be out there.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. So cool. Well, what do you have to talk to us about with termites these days?
So my name is Brett, I'm the owner of Rockwell Pest Solutions. I've been doing this since 1999. Started spraying houses in Riverside, and in 2007, as you well know, the market transition. 2008, everything went to crap, and my wife came to me and she goes, I actually went to my wife and I was like, hey, I think I need to find a new job, because the company that I worked for, Western Exterminator, they had a different approach to business, that when things go bad, you need to retract and stop spending money. And at the time, my production was growing and everything was like getting better. But then they would like, oh, we need to cut back production. So we spread it across the board. And I'm like, yeah, I need to find a new job because this ain't working too good, right? You guys have an opposite theory than I have. And so I told my wife, I said, hey, I need to find a new job. What do I do? I think I'm gonna sell cars or be a manager at Best Buy, because I like electronics and I like cars. And she said, why don't you start your own pest control company? I said, don't have a reason good not to. So started business. First month of business was September 2009. If you guys follow bell curves, that was the bottom, the last market. And like I said, it was at a time when there was really nothing going on. I mean, there was no transactions. I would go into real estate brokerages and there would be nobody in the office. A lot of times the brokers were the only one in the office manning the phones. And we're at a time when uptime was the thing, and just kind of went out and door knocked every day. And really just my position as a representative has been from a service position, not a sales position. And I tell people I'm a terrible salesperson. I mean, I'm really, really bad, but I will give you the information and I'll let you make decisions based off the information that I give you. And, it's funny listening to Paul talking about rates, and maybe it's because I'm Captain Distracto, but all I hear is wah, 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 wah. And I try to revert my approach from that as a consumer is what people want to hear. And okay, rates are rates, rates are changed, rates are going to adjust. Tell me what it is today. Last time I bought a house, I took my box of, pay stubs and bank accounts, and I went to my lender and I go, how much can you approve me for? And then she told me the number. I said, if you tell my wife that number, I will kill you. Tell her like 250 under that. And So that's what I think of as people is I tell people, I'm going to come to your house. I'm going to inspect your house. You're going to forget everything that I said. I'm going to leave. You're going to get the report tomorrow. You can remember. So the most important takeaways that I always take is that in reality, we're doing a wood destroying organism inspection. Okay. We're not just looking for termites. We're looking for termites. We're looking for termite damage. We're also looking for water damage caused by properties. And then we're looking for conducive conditions, things that may pose a problem in the future. So now with FHA rates raising, we're seeing a little more FHA stuff coming through with Cal Halfa program, same kind of a thing. So my favorite one is we'll get crusty old white men. They'll be like, I don't have any termites. Send me a termite clearance. There's no such thing as a termite clearance. And we always try to reiterate it. We're doing a wood destroying organism inspection. We're issuing a wood destroying organism certification. So that's the takeaways is make sure when we're communicating with clients, and we'll shift in real estate position. Hey, we're gonna have a wood destroying organism inspection for you set up on Thursday, right? Yes, and reiterating that wood destroying organisms terminology, because when we come out and don't find any termites, and then we find fungus, oh, I didn't want a fungus inspection, I wanted a termite inspection. So that's probably the most important takeaway of this entire thing across the board, is this thing won't stay on point, is we try to say wood destroying organism as much as humanly possible in order to reiterate that portion, right? Termites, termite damage, fungus, conducive conditions, but wood destroying organism. The other takeaway right now, again, having FHA and VA, those conducive conditions. If you guys are looking at properties and you're doing your average, take the time, pay attention. If you're seeing things like chipped and peeling paint, that's a really big indicator, right? It's kind of like, I would say, mustache phenomenon. If you go on a first date with a woman and she has a mustache, those are red flags. Same thing as a chipped and peeling paint condition. If you're walking up to this house, listen, trust me, I get it. It's rough. You haven't closed an escrow in 60, 90 days. You need to get this deal. Don't have money for vacation, can't make your car payment, worried about your mortgage, but please pay attention, stop, take that deep breath before you do that avid, before you do that initial listing consultation, and follow the same protocol. Looking for things like chipped and peeling paint. If you're seeing that the patio poster is super obviously rotted, we'll try to do a little mix of technology here, but again, I'm new to this whole Zoom thing, right? So here's a picture of a property. We'll try to get this as good as possible, see how it works. This is a piece of siding. Right? These are the kind of red flags that we're talking about. If you're walking up to a property, you see red flag sightings like that, that should automatically be a red flag. First thing you'd be thinking is, God, we need to get a wood destroying organism inspection performed to this property. That is something that is going to save you and your clients headache in the long term. Like I said, I've been doing this for 24 years and been in business on my own for 14. And once you accept an offer, once your client accepts an offer on a property, they start creating numbers. Realtors do the same. I do the same, right? Realtors can multiply really well by 3%. Ah, cool, awesome. You already know what that commission is going to be within 15 minutes of walking out of that listing appointment, maybe 15 seconds. Same thing sellers do, right? Oh, I'm going to sell my house for $500,000. That means I'm going to have 150 grand. I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy that. I'm going to get a new Rolex, I'm going to buy a new car. And then here comes the termite guy. Guess what? $15,000 to fix the house. Oh, now I can't buy. And I've heard this enough times. Now I can't go on vacation because of you. I go, your baby's ugly. Me telling you your baby is ugly has nothing to do with the fact that your baby's ugly. You have termite work, fungus damage needs to be prevented in your house. So we always recommend having a pre-listing inspection done as part of your initial listing presentation. You're going to meet with the sellers, and we'll flip-flop for buyers, of course, as well. You're going to meet with the sellers. You're going to go over the price. You're going to go over terms. When are you going to list the house? What upkeep do we need to do and have a wood destroying organism inspection performed with the house? You need to know those numbers, right? Our minimum construction repair is $450. We've done a few larger scale jobs over the past 12 months. 10, 15, 20,000. We did one that was $30,000 in work last year. So if you're getting to that position where, oh man, I got to get an escrow, got to get this deal closed, sellers got to move, they want to move to Nashville, and we have this number, cool, awesome. And then you do termite inspection, wood destroying organism inspection, and $10,000 worth of work, $20,000 worth of work. Now that rate buy down isn't going to exist. Now they're down an entire tier of properties they can afford because you didn't get those numbers. But I say the termite guy, the dentist, and the IRS man. Those are the three that you hope go well, but they probably aren't going to. I mean, every time, like, oh man, I hope the dentist goes good. Like, oh, you have 4 teeth that are blown out. Oh, how did that happen? Oh, because you didn't brush your teeth.
Deferred maintenance, right?
Right. It's all the same. Like, how do I owe the IRS $100,000? You didn't pay taxes. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I was getting a pre-list wood destroying organism inspection performed on the home. That's really a massive takeaway. Again, I was listening to broker recommendations as far as that goes. Secondary is on a buyer's transaction. You're always going to, assuming we're in a normalized market, you're always going to ask for be hyper specific on stuff, right? Ask for a wood destroying organism certification to be provided by Rockwell Pest Solutions. I use the example as when we sold our last house, we had really terrible buyer's representation. It was kind of amazing. And so the bathtub leaked and the around the control valves, and then the patio sheeting had a little crack in it. So they sent the request for repairs and it said, fix the bathroom, fix the patio. So I went down and I bought the new O-ring that needed, put it in, fixed the leak, and then I put some Henry's tar on the roof, and that fixed the roof leak, right? The one that didn't exist. And they came back and they said, oh no, that's insufficient. We want to get invoices that say the work was done. So I went on to www.invoicegenerator.com and I wrote myself a receipt to myself and I submitted that because I'm a jerk, right? And they didn't ask the proper questions. And then finally at the end, they go, no, we need an invoice from a licensed plumber. So well, any moron's going to tell you work's already done. You're not going to get a plumber to come out to do that. So the moral of the story is be hyper specific in your requests, right? As a buyer standpoint, especially if you're working with a VA buyer, because VA borrowers always require wood destroying organism certification, both section 1 and section 2. You cannot fund a VA loan without wood destroying organism certification, section 1 and section 2. That's anytime you see VA, think VA, you should be thinking modern houses, current stuff, nothing pre-78. That should be an automatic thought process. I've had sellers with 100-year-old houses. Yay, we accepted a VA offer. And all I can think is, cha-ching. I'm buying my VA first with this house because this is going to be an extensive amount of work.
Yeah,
so
let's watch this deal unravel slowly.
When did it go wrong? Oh, there was a V and an A in the offer time, right? But if you're working as a VA borrower and you're writing offers on there on the offer, assuming we're in a normalized market, listen to your broker every single time, full legal disclosure here. But you should be writing in there, seller provides section 1 and section 2 wood destroying organism certification to be provided by Rockwell Pest Solutions. Be hyper specific, because if you come to me and you write an offer and you go, hey, I'm looking for a termite clearance, I'm going to give you one from Shitbag Termite, who's the worst company ever in the history of the world, is going to be out of business in 6 months. So be very cautious.
Bringing up section 1, section 2, this is a common question. What is the difference between section 1, section 2?
It's pretty basic, pretty simple, right? So an inspection, actually I have that one right here. This worked out well. So inspection form here, you can see across the top, you have the first tab is for subterranean termites. Okay, that's always going to be a section 1, active subterranean termite evidence. It's going to be 1A on your inspection report. Second one here is going to be the second tab is going to be drywood termites. Okay, drywood termite evidence or damage is always going to be a section 1 item. Active condition, 2A on your report. And then you run into 3 is going to be fungus damage. It's going to be 3A on your report. It's going to be active section 1 on a regular basis. Then you move into your conducive conditions, things like excessive moisture, things like water stains, things like cellulose debris. I don't even know my financial rec sheets here. Things like where a patio post is touching soil. Those are all conducive conditions, things that may pose a problem in the future. Okay, not a problem right now, because if it's a problem right now, it's going to be a 1, 2, or 3. It's going to be a subterranean problem. It's going to be a drywood termite problem. It's going to be a fungus problem. The 4s are going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem in the future, right? It's homework type of thing. And then you move in your 5s on your report is going to be your further inspections when sub areas are inaccessible, bedroom doors are locked, garages are closed up. Those kind of things are going to be a problem in the future. So section 1, active termites, active termite damage, fungus damage is section 1. Okay. Section 2 is conducive conditions, things that may be a problem in the future, chip and peeling paint, water stains, fungus blooms on top of wood, cellulose debris underneath the houses, chunks of wood underneath the houses, anything that's going to be a problem in the future. So every VA borrower every single time requires a section 2 certification as well as section 1. It has to be both. You cannot fund a VA loan without it. And FHA loans, where the appraiser calls out the conditions, right? You can fund an FHA loan without a termite wood destroying organism certification. You cannot fund an FHA loan where the appraiser is called out for clearance. Once that appraiser calls out for clearance, you must have section 1 and section 2 as well. But again, if you're in a normalized market and you're working with a conventional buyer, same thing. I'm going to ask for 1 and 2 certification to be performed by preferred vendor, because I'm sure down in your hood, there's these really bad companies, right? Yeah. I had a family member that needed to refinance one time, and they called me, hey, I need a lender. I'm like, hey, call this lender. Why'd you send me to them? Because that's who you call when you have problems, right? And there's termite companies that are saying, hey, I needed clearance yesterday. Call these guys because they'll get your clearance yesterday. Fraudulent as hell, and you would never want that on your customer, but at least we know those situations exist. So section 1 active, section 2 abusive.
Cool. What was I gonna say? So what like, I guess we already went over what we should be looking for in the walkthroughs, and you highly recommend pre-listing inspections, which I always recommend as well, because I want to get rid of that elephant in the room of, hey, we could net this amount, but you know, as an agent, I'm already like picking apart the house on what an inspector is going to see, right? So there's your major takeaways. What else would you recommend realtors, you know?
So it's a pretty simple
termites?
format. Yeah, so so from a liability standpoint, I don't say you look for anything, right? I think you should be looking for the red flags. I think you should be looking for fungus damage. What you guys can do is you can go on the Instagram and follow the business account is at Rockwell Pest.
Should come up.
I can't remember if it's Rockwell Pest Solutions or Rockwell Pest. Yeah, it's Rockwell Pest Solutions. There's daily posts on there. You can see things. And so the issue is in the state of California, and again, being in California in a litigious state, as licensed through the Department of Consumer Affairs, realtors are liable for any identifications that do not obtain. So if you don't have, basically, you don't have a termite license, you can't say anything, right? So especially nowadays, I've seen text messages where back and forth with realtors, with licensed realtors, to say, hey, what about the M word that rhymes with gold problem? That's a word that I don't say. So from a superficial standpoint, just pay attention, right? Ignore the commission, separate the commission, right? But look at the house and go, this house doesn't look good. You know, looking for, but on the Rockwell Pest on Instagram, you're looking for stuff that's that type of thing, right? Fungus damage conditions, termite damage conditions, things are a little more obvious. You know, here's, I'll try to do this again, modified. This is the kind of stuff we take off, but you're going to see it under, oh, there we go. Fungus damage across these portions. You know, you're going to see these fungus blooms that are creeping up. Things that are red flags, right? If you see a piece of fascia that's separated from the house, here was a great one in Marietta last week. This is actually a weed growing out of a patio cover.
I saw that post actually. Yeah.
If you don't see a weed growing out of the patio cover on the back, check it out. That's a red flag. Here's some subterranean termite tubing that's coming out. This is my personal Instagram. It's the Bug Guru. It's not a pitch. I don't care if you follow me or not. I really don't care. This is subterranean termite tubing coming out of the wall. So this would be something middle of a drywall. You're going to see that coming through there. This is some fascia board. Actually, this is an entire reel here. That's fascia board with water damage into it, barge raft with water damage to it. These are the things you take a quick walk around, you're going to notice these things. Again, standard protocol for us is I do not recommend you take care of these items prior to getting into escrow and deep down into escrow. So our standard format, again, always listen to your broker. I don't know nothing about nothing. I'm an idiot. Have your pre-list inspection done. Make sure that everything's there. We just did a property in Redlands last week. We demoed 2 patio covers that were connected to the house because we did that before the photos went on, right? Because it would have taken $2,000 to demo and haul away these patio covers, but it would have cost $6,000 to fix them. So correct me if I'm wrong, but in the state of California, once you document those photos for listing purposes, the property must close escrow with those said items in same matching condition, unless you have the buyer sign an addendum to it. So stuff like that, I'm going to say, take this patio cover down. Take these, you know, take this freaking stupid pergola down. There's things that are cost savings in there. So inspect the property, then you can figure out how you want to format with the photographs. We do not touch the house until the buyers remove contingencies of the property, and that protects us and it protects the sellers as well. We're, you know, basically nobody has any money. It's been that way forever. I think it's more highlighted recently, but we're doing a property in Fontana right now. It's $12,002 worth of fumigation repairs. And the agent's saying, the guy's really nice. I'm like, but does he have $12,002 to pay me if the property falls out of escrow? Yeah. So we don't start touching the house until the buyers are contingencies. 96% of escrows will close escrow. There's a 4% cancellation ratio. So it's a 96% chance that it's going to close. We're not going to touch the house until the buyers remove contingencies. Sellers say, I want to get it done now. So you got to cut me a check, right? We're not going to wait that period of time.
Yeah.
And that's it.
So on that topic, because we did have a question, what's your fee? So
We have Q&A. Awesome. So we
Yeah.
charge the same amount, right? And it's $105. So here's my soft pitch. So we service the 4 northern counties. We're not registered in San Diego County, which is why we don't get in San Diego. So that borders Temecula. So what we do is, hey, you want to get a pre-list inspection? It's part of our intake process. Great, it's $105, and we create an actual virtual inspection. Okay. And then we follow up. We actually use Zillow and use Redfin. And once that property goes active on Zillow, then we contact back out to the agent or the homeowner if they have not contacted us. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, see you got an escrow. Congratulations. We need to get escrow information so we could submit that escrow inspection fee over the escrow. If we do any work on the property, then the inspection fee is waived, or if they pay it credited towards the work. Minimums, and again, and that should be standard protocols. California, Jerry Brown actually passed a bill that said you can't charge for certifications, which is how the free companies used to make money. Because if you go out to a brand new house that has no termites, how are you going to make money on a free report? Charge for a certification fee. So we credit that towards any work. Answer. We'll type answer. Now I get super. I'm like a Zoom master now. $105. So we create that invoice, send that over to escrow, and then if the work is performed by us, then we waive the inspection fee or credit it towards the work prepared. On buyer situations, we always require payment by the buyers at the time of the inspection. Buyers want to change their mind, awesome. 1,000 times, cool, great. You guys want to follow buyer on for 3% or 2.5%? Knock yourself out. Our business format does not allow that to wait around and chase people around for $100.
Yeah. Now I notice I'd say maybe one of the few that do charge for the inspection. It's not a free inspection, but I've always felt that I've got a more honest inspection from you on the properties that you've done. Opinion on that?
It's so 100%, right? And it's kind of funny. I'll use my dog. So we bought a lab a couple years ago, and 6 months old, and she had an ACL tear, right? So she was hobbling. Take her to the vet. The vet goes, cool, it's $4,800 for a surgery. You need to do surgery. I was like, damn, $4,800. I don't have $4,800. So we took her down to a specialist in Irvine, who's like the specialist for dog ACL tears. Took her down there. His office visit charges $250. And he goes, well, why don't you give it 30 days, try A, B, C, D, E, F, and G and see how that works. Moral of the story is Captain Freebie up here is right off the bat, let's do $4,800 in repairs. And the guy that charges the inspection fee for the dog was willing to have alternative methods of approach. We're a termite wood destroying organism inspection company that is a courtesy offers in-house repairs and treatments. We were fine getting inspection fees. It's funny because I'm like, we didn't have any closed jobs today. And then we have 13 closed inspections for a total of, $1,050 or whatever it is, or $1,500. So for 24 years in the industry, I've never not charged an inspection fee. I've always been a charged inspection fee company. If you're getting free inspection fee companies, 99.9%, they're shady. They're going to pad stuff on. If you're working with free companies, and this is an overall thing, this is not just pitching my company. If you're working in Sacramento or San Diego, if you're working with a free company, ask yourself, when's the last time you got a clear report from them? Right? Because it's easy to hide $100 and $1,000 worth of charge. One of the things we've also done recently, which you should be asking your preferred vendor for, is photographs of the property. There should be photographs of the house. If they can't show you these things, they did a study and they said the least 5 trusted industries. Number 1 is politicians. Number 2 is lawyers. 3 is realtors. 4 is mechanics, and 5 is used car salesmen. And I'm guarantee you 6 is termites. Like, what other industry is there that I can put my head in your attic and go, you have to pay me $2,000. And then the next guy is going to go, oh, you can pay me $1,950. And then the third guy goes, well, we'll treat you for $750 when there's no termites there in the first place.
Yeah.
So that's standard protocol. Again, $105. We create the virtual invoice. Once the property goes into escrow with our follow-up, then we enforce it at that point in time. And then great, if everything closes and you close escrow for $105, fantastic. Or if the buyer's waive termite, cool, that's awesome. And it's been the same format since before the wood pest identifier was removed.
So question that I get, well, something I see actually, not just with our agents, but with agents on the other side, is a condo. And they're like, oh, you don't need it because the HOA's got it, and then so, the other side's like, oh, well, I guess that's true, because they have service over there. And I think it's a lot of assumption that the HOA is actually doing, termite maintenance, wood storing organism maintenance on the property. But we're also talking about just the exterior. And I say, look, I've had termites in attics quite often with condos, and the HOA is not covering it. So what's your experience with that?
Yeah, so it's again, I'm captain liability, right? Is you always exhaust all the possible liabilities. So in California, and correct me if I'm wrong, you should always have the termite waiver signed if the buyers elect not to have an inspection performed. I mean, it's a requirement. Like you either have an inspection performed or you have the liability waiver performed. You should never close escrow because that creates a liability for you. So then at least take it to your buyer and go, hey, do you want to get an inspection done on the property? I would recommend it, right? It's always interesting because when I forget, like buyers have money. That's why they're buying houses. So it shouldn't be up to you. Like I'm broke today, right? I was broke tomorrow. Maybe I'll have money on Wednesday. But these people are buying homes because they have money. So if you're broke, you're making an assumption off someone else being broke. It's like, do you want to invest $105 to have an inspection performed on the house? So, and it could change from minute to minute. I could leave a house and termites could swarm 5 minutes later. And every HOA is completely different. We're bidding an HOA complex right now that this specific HOA takes care of interior and exterior for the entire complex for termites specifically, right? But what happens if there's a kitchen sink that's busted, the water line's busted, and the cabinetry's damaged? I mean, it just doesn't encompass termites, but I would say for liability purposes, 100% recommend having it performed. If not, get that waiver done. But is it worthwhile for the buyer to invest $105 to have us come to look at the house?
I would
That's
always
kind
say
of,
yes.
I would say yes. What's worst case scenario? You invested $105 and had it checked out. But yeah, I would say that the majority of HOAs, I was cheating. I say, what's the HOA dues? Somewhere around 250 plus, they're gonna have some kind of exterior coverage. But that's also trusting that company's doing a good job.
Yeah.
I have a low opinion of all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
When
So
in doubt, inspect it out. That's it.
yeah. Yeah. I just have them, I show them the buyer inspection election form. I'm like, what do you want on here? These first two are the most common. And after that, I can tell you what,
It's
I would do if
hard.
it was me.
Yeah, it's hard because a lot of termite companies prefer or won't do mobile homes and condos.
Yeah.
And again, they're not looking for the inspection fees because they're charging free inspections. So we'll do everything. I mean, I'm going to Muscoy today, which is probably one of the worst territories in Southern California that exists, right? We'll do condos. If I get 10 condos in a day, I'm stoked with that. Because guess what? To me, that's easy money, right? I just made $1,000 in inspection fees. I'm totally good with that. But again, I was hated like, I'm an ocean view specialist. I'm like, so you're gonna turn down a $1 million listing if it doesn't have an ocean view?
Yeah.
How about you diversify your portfolio of stuff and do condos and do mobile homes and what have you? So again, legality purposes, always have it done. Legality reasons, I would recommend to have it done, each and every single time, because realtors make a crap ton of money because of liability. That's why you make so much money. That's it.
Yep. I guess we could do one more before we wrap up. Areas, types of homes that you see that seem to be more conducive to issues.
So the problem nowadays is I forget that I'm now 44 and a half years old. And there are homes now that are new homes that are now 20 years old. So never assume anything, right? KB had a run of homes in Loma Linda and Fontana where they pre-built the walls, termites swarmed into them, and you had brand new homes with driveway termites in them.
Wow.
You have there's a property in Chino, the attic area. These are brand new homes. People bought the house, had to move for whatever reason. We're inspecting 4, 5, 6-year-old home or 6-month-old homes, and there's water damage in the roof sheeting. So never assume anything. Now there are certain territories and areas. KB Homes in Fontana, KB Homes in Loma Linda, the city of Diamond Bar, La Habra, La Mirada, Brea. You can look at cities that have high homeowner retention. So for example, the city of Brea for budgetary constraints. You go, hey, how much for my house in Brea? No idea, because Brea is the highest homeowner retention in California, 28 years on average. City of Claremont is number 2 at 23 years homeowner retention. And so when people are staying in their homes for longer periods of time, they're not having inspections done, they're not having the work done. You can assume higher numbers. General shoot from the hip, dollar amounts, $2,500. Okay, if you budget, back in the old days, we had HUD-1 line items, right? So for HUD-1 line items, $2,500 for termite. That's what we'd estimate. If it's an older home, $3,500. Minimum repair cost is $450. Minimum treatment cost is $575, and minimum fumigation cost is $1,450. So giving kind of a general idea, no company should bid a price for anything over the phone. There's no idea. I just had this Fontana property because, hey, I need a second opinion on a house in Fontana. It's $14,000 worth of repairs. And I go, $13,950. He goes, you want to come look at it? I go, no, I'm good with that price. Of course, we need to come look at it, right? This one, we happen to be $2,000 lower than the other company, which was kind of crazy. But yeah, nowadays, Eastvale is here in North Riverside County, and Eastvale is still a new community, right? It's not on some maps, but we're now finding about 30% of the homes in Eastvale have dry wood termite evidence in them. So it takes 5 years to see damage, 2 years to see evidence. But these are 10-year-old, 15-year-old homes now, some of the times, right? I'm 44 years old. I forget this stuff.
Yeah, we think some of these communities is new, and you're like, wow, actually the home I live in is over 20 years old and I still consider it new. So if you miss that, everybody, if you miss that, if you see a listing and it says first time on market, stuff like that, you can already throw up your red flag and say this home might have some serious deferred maintenance. We had one up in the Bay Area that was like that, and it was a little home. I mean, it was like 900 and some change square feet, and they had a $35,000 WDO. So because the whole side of the house was basically rotted out on siding and everything else. So that is, to me, not a selling point when it says first time on market. That's a red flag for me anyways. Same as with an REO. I know if and they're not as prominent as they were, but back in the day, we were selling all these REOs, and I knew that as soon as this thing closed, I was going to get a call about 3 weeks later about plumbing leaks. So I always prefaced, my buyers, I'm like, look, the water probably hasn't been turned on in this place in 6 months. And so when you go to turn it on, it's probably going to leak all over the place. Not during the inspection, of course, but it'll wait until you're running it a lot. So yeah, keep that in mind too. If you see a home that these people appear to have been lived there a long time, that it could be a sizable termite bill if they don't have a pre-inspection done. So anticipate that if you're on the buyer end.
Original owner is a big red flag. I like that one.
Yeah, I think so. No matter what the year of house is, really.
Yeah.
So because people don't want to move all their stuff out and tent a house. So
and again, the secondary one is 1978. So if you're putting in listings, if it's 1978 or newer construction, probably gonna be less quality. California changed construction codes in 78. So if you're looking at a property and it says 79, 80 construction, red flag, could be drama.
Yeah, cool. Right on. Any closing arguments?
That's it. I cannot stress that enough, right? Is be of service to your clients. It's the most important thing in any kind of service industry. Get your pre-list inspections done, right? And our goal, my company goal, is any vendor goal should be, is I want sellers to net a shit ton of money when they sell their house. So they tell all their friends what a great job their realtor did, and then we can inspect more homes in the future. If we get work out of it, great. If not, we only get the inspection fee, that's fine too. We'll do a few thousand inspections a year. So it's not a big deal if we don't get to work on every single one, but be of service to your clients. And when they make money, they're happy. They're going to tell their friends. Yeah,
definitely. So, well, I really appreciate you coming on. It's the first time I've had a termite guy on. So you're our first one. So
awesome.
Right on. Hopefully we'll have you back, and send all your inspections over there. I know you get all my business when it's outside of San Diego. Unfortunately, most of my business is in San Diego, but I do Temecula and Murrieta quite often.
Thanks,
right on. Thanks a lot. Thanks for coming on. We'll see you.